So he requested me from the State Department. I was stationed in Japan, and I was just a private, and I got VIP status and flew on a United Nations airplane with Red.
Jamie Farr's story doesn't begin on a Hollywood set, or under bright studio lights, or even in a smoky comedy club the way most legends do. It begins in an army uniform. It begins in the quiet discipline of a young man drafted into service, standing behind a camera instead of in front of it, learning how to shoot training films instead of sitcom scenes. And if you had met that young soldier in 1957, shy, earnest, Lebanese-American kid from Toledo, you would never guess he was destined to become one of the most recognizable comic voices on television. You would never guess that the man who would one day steal every scene on MASH * started his life in entertainment not as a star, but as a serviceman working in army bases from Fort Ord to Fort Knox to the edge of the Korean DMZ.
And then from there, we landed at Kimpo Air Base. I still have some photographs of Red and me. The place is pretty well shot up. And he asked me to do his intro, to help him with the sketches that he did. And I'd come out and he'd do some patter with me in it. And
But destiny does strange things. It hides opportunities in unlikely places, and sometimes it takes a heartbreaking tragedy to bring two paths together that otherwise never would have crossed. For Jamie Farr, that moment arrived the day Red Skelton, one of the biggest comedians in America, one of the most beloved performers of his generation, lost his son. Red didn't want to stop performing. Grief has a way of pulling people toward the stage rather than away from it. He wanted to do a USO tour to bring laughter to troops stationed overseas because he knew how badly he needed laughter himself.
We entertained all the way up to the 38th parallel, the demarcation zone, entertaining in small encampments. Red used to do a routine called Guzzler's Gin.
And when he asked the army for someone to accompany him, someone to help him backstage, someone who understood cameras and cues and timing, the army chose Jamie Farr. Jamie still remembers the shock of it. One day he was just another soldier in special services, cutting film reels and checking equipment. The next morning he was boarding a United Nations aircraft with Red Skelton like he had accidentally wandered into someone else's dream. No entourage, no assistants, no handlers, just Jamie and Red flying across the ocean to perform for thousands of soldiers as if the universe had quietly handed him a golden key. They traveled everywhere, through Japan, through Korea, up to the tense, cold divide of the DMZ. At every stop, Jamie watched the power of comedy do something miraculous, something healing. And Red did more than perform. He taught, he mentored, he showed Jamie the difference between telling jokes and being a comedian. And Jamie soaked up every second of it, unaware that this friendship, born in the shadow of loss, was slowly reshaping the course of his life. When Jamie finally returned to the US after 2 years of active duty, he expected nothing except a quiet readjustment back into civilian life. He didn't even expect to return to acting. Not realistically. His father had just passed away, and in that moment, dreams of stardom felt far less important than the simple responsibility of supporting his mother. He even walked into CBS Studios, not to ask for a job, but to say goodbye to Red.
We're doing Guzzler's Gin. So we'd call ahead at each encampment. We said we would like a stool, some towels, and a gin bottle. Well, they got it confused. They thought we were knocking off a bottle of gin at every encampment that we went to. So they'd have some general there with a bottle of gin with martinis, you know. And Red and I are looking at, what the heck's going on with our troops here? All these guys are getting drunk. They think we're getting drunk. We just wanted an empty bottle, you know, so we could put water in it so he could do his Guzzler's Gin. Then we found out later that they got misinformation. It was that a bottle of gin, but a gin bottle.
But Red Skelton had other plans. According to Jamie, that simple visit turned into a life-changing moment he never anticipated. Red didn't just hug him or congratulate him on completing his service. He looked him straight in the eye and refused his goodbye. He told Jamie he wasn't going anywhere. He pulled out a stack of $100 bills, the kind of gesture that feels almost mythical when you hear it retold, and told Jamie to send the money home to his mother. And then he said something that would echo through Jamie's life for decades. From here on in, you're working for me. Red didn't give him a small part-time job or a temporary gig. He put Jamie under personal contract, calling him one of us, a doctor of comedy, as if Jamie had earned a diploma he never even realized he was studying for. Overnight, Jamie Farr went from a grieving son trying to quit show business to becoming Red Skelton's apprentice, assistant, and comedic understudy. For the next year, Jamie traveled with Red to every corner of the entertainment world: Vegas, Miami Beach, Los Angeles, Chicago, the Sands, the Fontainebleau, the Moulin Rouge, the Chez Paree, legendary rooms, legendary audiences, legendary pressures. All of it suddenly became Jamie's classroom. Night after night, Red showed him how to hold a crowd, how to shape his timing, how to turn vulnerability into humor and humor into connection. It wasn't just career training, it was a masterclass in the very soul of comedy.
Tomorrow morning, you can help me with the nightclub act. I'll get you some parts, on the show and everything. So it was Red Skelton that really saved me and kept me in the business. I owe a great deal to him. When I went into the Army, he gave me a St. Christopher medal to keep you safe, and I still have it. It's right here, along with my baptismal, and I still have it where it's on the back. He says, "God bless you, Jamil."
But eventually, every student has to step out from under the master's shadow, and Jamie knew there were roles out there waiting for him. Small ones at first, but still roles. So he branched out, carrying Red's lessons with him, and the entertainment world slowly but surely began to notice. Carl Reiner, working on the Dick Van Dyke Show, took a chance on him. Just a delivery man. A tiny role, barely enough lines to fill a coffee cup, but it was enough. That one scene reminded casting directors that Jamie Farr existed, that he was talented, that he belonged in front of a camera again. It jump-started his career like a defibrillator to a faint heartbeat. Then came MASH asterisk. Nobody, not the producers, not Jamie, not the studio, imagined that Corporal Maxwell Klinger, this frantic cross-dressing soldier chasing a Section 8 discharge with gowns and boas and wild schemes, would become one of the most beloved characters in television history. Jamie wasn't even hired for more than a single day. He took the job because he needed the $250 to pay rent and buy groceries. But viewers loved him, producers loved him, and soon they couldn't imagine the show without him. Klinger wasn't just comedy, he had heart, desperation, vulnerability. And what nobody realized at first was that Jamie Farr was pulling from his own life, from his military experience, from his Lebanese roots, from the humor he used to survive tough circumstances. Every reference to Toledo, every Mud Hens joke, every mention of Tony Packo's hot dogs, that was Jamie stitching himself into his character. By the time MASH asterisk ended, only 2 cast members, Alan Alda and Loretta Sweet, had appeared in more episodes than Jamie Farr, and the dog tags he wore on screen weren't props. They were his own, from Korea. The real ones. The ones that tied him back to the moment everything changed. And through all of it, Jamie never forgot Red. He never stopped calling him his hero, his mentor, his second father. He wore a St. Christopher medal that Red gave him before the USO tour, and he still wears it to this day. When Red passed away in 1997, his widow didn't hesitate. She asked Jamie to be a pallbearer because the bond between them wasn't show business. It wasn't contractual. It was family. Whenever Jamie told this story, and he told it often, he always said the same thing: "I owe my whole career to Red Skelton." And he meant it in the deepest, truest way. Without Red, Jamie believed he would have left acting forever. Without Red, there would be no Klinger, no MASH asterisk legacy, no Broadway debut at 60 years old, no long list of films, shows, game appearances, or awards. Without Red, Jamie Farr might have been just another kid from Toledo trying to make ends meet. But because of one comedian's kindness, one mentor's belief, he became something else entirely. He became a star. The truth is, stories like Jamie's don't happen in Hollywood anymore. They barely happened back then. Today, everyone understands the business too well. Contracts, agents, managers, branding, everything feels transactional. But Jamie Farr's journey is a reminder of an era when talent met opportunity through generosity. When a giant of comedy could look at a young man and decide on the spot that he deserved a future. And Jamie never wasted that gift. He honored it. He grew it. He passed it forward. He embraced the fans, the show, shows, the endless appearances, the Broadway roles he once thought were beyond his reach. He hosted game shows, judged contests, spoke at events, wrote books, acted well into his 80s. He became a mentor himself because he knew what it meant to have one. And through all the fame and recognition, the Emmy nomination, the star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, the induction into halls of fame, the scholarships, the community tributes, the golf tournaments, the parks renamed after him. He has always stayed loyal to Toledo, the city that raised him, the place that shaped him. The home he never forgot because he knew that no matter how high he climbed, those roots were part of the reason he survived. But the spark, the moment everything shifted, belonged to Red Skelton, a man deep in grief who found purpose in lifting someone else up, a man whose generosity didn't just launch a career, it changed a life. And that's why Jamie Farr tells the story over and over, even at 91 years old, because he understands something most people never learn. You don't rise alone. Someone opens the door for you. Someone believes in you before you learn to believe in yourself. And if you're lucky, you spend the rest of your life proving them right.